The movie Don't Move opens with Irish, a grieving mother, still tormented by the recent loss of her son. Her days are consumed by sorrow, and her relationship with her husband is strained. One morning, while her husband sleeps, Irish decides to visit the forest where her son tragically died. She takes a small knife and her son's toy boat, symbolic tokens of her lingering pain. In the forest, Irish reaches her son's memorial. She leaves the toy boat there and carves her son's initials alongside hers and her husband's, a bittersweet act of remembrance. Unable to bear the weight of her loss, Irish moves toward a peak, intending to end her life. At the cliff's edge, she is interrupted by Richard, a stranger who insists on talking to her before she jumps. Though reluctant, Irish listens to him share his story about a car accident that killed his girlfriend, Chloe, and left him bedridden for months. This tragedy, he says, eventually gave him a renewed sense of purpose. Moved by his account, Irish shares her own story. Her son fell off a cliff during a family outing while collecting sticks for marshmallows, a tragedy she blames herself for. Richard consoles her and leaves, but his words resonate deeply. Irish changes her mind about ending her life and follows him back to their cars. However, as Irish prepares to leave, Richard unexpectedly attacks her with a stun device disguised as an umbrella, rendering her unconscious. When she wakes up, she's tied up in his car, realizing Richard is a dangerous predator. She tries to call for help using her smartwatch, but Richard reveals there's no signal in the area. Remembering the knife in her pocket, she discreetly begins cutting the rope binding her hands. Meanwhile, she attempts to keep him distracted by asking about Chloe, but Richard is not fooled, accusing her of trying to manipulate him. As Irish breaks free and tries to fight back, their struggle causes the car to crash into a tree. Injured, they both stumble out of the wreckage. Irish grabs her knife and threatens Richard, but he reveals he injected her with a drug that will paralyze her body within 20 minutes. Panicked, Irish sets a timer on her watch and flees into the forest, determined to find help before the drug takes full effect. As she runs, her body begins to fail. First, her fingers lose function, then her legs. Richard hunts her through the forest, but Irish cleverly hides by a tree's roots. Unfortunately, ants crawling on her face force her to reveal herself. Richard corners her, but she escapes into a river, the strong current carrying her far downstream. Exhausted and with only a minute left on her timer, she crawls onto a farmer's property. The farmer finds her paralyzed body and tries to communicate. Irish blinks once for yes and twice for no, managing to convey that she is in danger. The farmer hides her behind a sofa when Richard arrives at the door, pretending to look for his crazy wife. Sensing Richard's sinister intent, the farmer attempts to call the police but is overpowered and killed in a brutal fight. Irish watches helplessly, her paralysis preventing her from intervening. Richard sets the farmhouse ablaze to destroy evidence and retrieves the farmer's truck. As he drives away, Irish's movements return slightly, and she signals for help by moving a window shade. Richard notices and drags her back to the car, berating her for resisting him. During the ride, Irish overhears a phone call revealing Richard's real name is Andrew and that he has a wife and daughter. His current crime spree contrasts starkly with the life he presents to his family. The tension escalates when they stop at a gas station. Left alone in the truck, Irish struggles to signal a passerby but fails to gain their attention. When Richard returns, he grows increasingly paranoid. They arrive at the location of his car accident, where Richard plans to tow his car but is interrupted by a police officer. Richard lies about his identity and situation, but when Irish whispers "help me," the officer realizes something is wrong. Before he can act, Richard attacks and kills him, staging another explosion to cover his tracks. Unbeknownst to Richard, Irish has secretly taken a syringe from his car. At a seaside location, Richard prepares to throw Irish into the ocean, deciding she's no longer worth keeping alive. As he drags her to the boat, Irish uses the syringe to stab his leg, but her weakened condition prevents her from injecting him fully. Enraged, Richard changes his plans, deciding to push her overboard and leave her to drown. On the boat, Irish notices a knife in Richard's belt. She tricks him into approaching her by feigning vulnerability, stabbing him in the neck when he gets close. A struggle ensues, and Richard falls into the water. Irish shoots at him with his gun but accidentally damages the boat in the process, causing it to take on water. As she begins sinking, the drug's effects start to wear off, allowing her to regain enough mobility to surface. Irish spots Richard on the shore, gravely injured but still alive. Summoning her strength, she confronts him. Richard collapses from his wounds, and Irish leaves him to his fate. The movie ends with her walking away, her ordeal leaving her forever changed but alive. Don't Move is a gripping thriller that explores themes of grief, resilience, and survival, punctuated by moments of harrowing suspense and emotional depth. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.